Everybody, what's up? The clicking earlier was my mechanical keyboard. I didn't have my mic muted. It's very clicky. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a pretty excellent shirt. We watched a fish called Wanda in my Discord 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, week ago. And what a good movie. What a great movie that is. And so I immediately had to have this t-shirt made because the world needs to know, you know? I feel like the world just needs to know. I think we've forgotten and just need a reminder. How's everyone doing? I just got back from Jiu-jitsu and I was posting about this, but it's a basics class. It's fundamentals. And sometimes I'll get paired up with people who, when we go to roll at the end, which is what they call sparring, a lot of the times the coach will just be like, okay, just practice this like one thing because it's basics, right? And the person I'm with will just be like, oh, bet I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, which is a little frustrating. Not because of like injuries or anything. I mean, I am like a little sore, but more just because I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. And I'm like, is this okay? Like, am I internalizing things on some level? Am I learning? Or should I find someone else? Because we're supposed to be practicing this for like one specific thing, and I am just getting like thrown 360. Like, I don't even know where I am, when I am. I mean, it's very impressive on behalf of the other person, but like, it's not ideal, I think. And it's weird because higher belts don't usually do this. When I roll with them, they're like a lot more chill. So I think it's a thing of like white belts wanting to like prove themselves, and higher belts being chill enough that they're just like, it's fine. Yeah, so I'm like a little sore. But how's everyone doing? It's a weird weekend. Weird and bad. The LA stuff is really pretty brutal. And yeah, I was never like so I've been to LA like maybe a half a dozen times in my life. And I always thought of myself as someone who didn't like it. I think I had like a weird experience. I went there when I was pretty young and I had kind of a weird experience. And just didn't. I was in the OC though, so I think that's probably why. Or, Southern California, I guess. I just thought Southern California in general was kind of weird. And then I was in LA like 2 or 3 months ago and I had just such a good time. Like, it just felt like, wow, what like a beautiful, wonderful place. Like, just having these like, I don't know, New York, you have this too. Like, you have these, in any big city, you have this kind of like, a lot of the time people just don't interact and that's fine. But like, you do have these chance interactions that are really kind of magical, right? And in LA, like, I bought like a Mexican street dessert from some guy on the way back from a bar and just like ended up having a conversation with him and just hanging out for a bit. Or like, I like walked up to the park that's by that city gallery and there were just like all these people hanging out and it was really gorgeous. it just, I don't know, the vibes were just really good. And I'm sure in the summer it's unbearably hot and I probably couldn't deal with that, but it was just such a like chill, incredible trip. Um, so Taylor, you're asking about the lotion. So okay, so McBenji or MC Benji, um, you bought the SPF CeraVe lotion. That's awesome. Yeah, sunscreen is like, you know, really the main thing for anyone. And you don't actually have to wear it inside, probably. Like, it's, you know. But the thing about having like a sunscreen in a moisturizer is you can just put it on and then not have to think about, do I have to put sunscreen on? It's just on, and, which is nice. Yeah. Where was I in LA? I was staying at Adam's, my buddy Adam's place while he was out of town. And that is in, it's like west of some place with a bird name. Eagle, there's a place with a bird name in LA, right? Hawkville. Eagleton? Eagle Bluffs? Eagle Rock? Yes, it was west of Eagle Rock. Also, I just realized last time I had the, my alerts are getting hidden. So I'm going to move those up. That should help. Yeah, what's Silver Lake? If it's like basically Silver Lake, I think. And it was super chill. It was great. I loved it. I had a great time. I would go back to LA. Although it's starting to get warm here, which means it's going to be unbearable there. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, the Zuckerberg heavy layering technique is I don't know that I would recommend going too hard on this. You gotta rub it in, right? Highland Park, yes. I went to, no, it wasn't Highland Park. It was this park by like the city gallery or something. I don't know. Yeah, it seemed like an expensive area, but I was staying at a friend's house, so this is peak time to be staying in Canada. Yeah, no, this is the nice month. June is sort of peak. June and September, maybe. People don't realize how hot it gets here. Like, you know, I'm planning on moving to Taiwan, and everyone's like, oh, it gets so hot and humid. And like, it's hot and humid in Canada. Like in southern Ontario, I'm like right by a lake. We get so much humidity. It's really brutal. And I don't have AC. Like right now, I'm so excited because it's like just getting to that part of the year where I can sleep with my window open. But in a month, it's probably going to be, you know, like 80, 85, creeping up to 90. And that's too hot. For me, like 70s is just like perfect. And I was looking at Taiwan's weather patterns, and the coldest it gets in like December or January is like 50s, which sounds so good. Like that sounds ideal to me. And the hottest it gets is like 80s, which isn't amazing, but I've dealt with that before. So like if I'm just cutting one extreme off that spectrum, I'd rather cut the cold end off, you know? Yeah, that's life on the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, I mean, I was in Seattle for 4 years, and it was kind of like that there, I guess. It's not tropical, but it's, you know, what temperate is that? I don't know what the climate word is. Hey, Haley Pills. Hey, Azim. How's it going? We are going to do some advice stuff. And let's start. Let me pull up my questions that I've got saved. Okay. Okay, we'll start with something simple, you know? Okay, I don't really know what to do with my hair. What is the hairstyle that would make me happy? Yeah, so like the thing about hair, right, is what a lot of people do is it's easier to do this now than it has ever been. In the past, you had to like cut a picture out of a magazine. And now you can just bring in your phone, right? So people will like get a picture of someone and be like, that has like hair that they like, and take it to their hairstylist and be like, I want to do this. There are two problems with that approach. Like that's better than nothing, right? It's having a goal for like how you want your hair to look is better than having no idea. The problems with that are twofold. One, the person probably has a different facial structure than you. What looks flattering on them is not necessarily going to be the same thing that looks flattering on you. Second, like they're probably a celebrity or a model, and you get in your head like, oh, when I have the same hair, I will feel like I imagine that person being that person feels like. And that's just not going to happen because that's not how brains work. That's not how like reality works. And you show a picture of Vanilla Ice, your hairdresser. I mean, in that movie Cool as Ice, he kind of looks like a JoJo character. Like, have you guys have seen that movie? That movie, it's bad, but like the cinematography in that movie is incredible because it was shot by the guy who's like a famous cinematographer, but it was one of his first films, and it looks beautiful, but it's like a deeply bad, strange movie. I don't even know if bad. I mean, the acting is bad, the dialogue is bad, but like it looks great. But his hair is crazy for sure. So I think to some extent you have to kind of like let go of your expectations or desire for a certain thing. One thing that I think people don't think about, because it's like, it's easy to get into a space of just like, this is the one thing, and if I can't have this, then I'm worthless or pathetic or whatever. But like basically every facial structure and like body shape is playable. It's just like some have more options than others, and what looks good on you isn't necessarily what looks good on the celeb that like you want to look like. So I would just search like face shape, flattering hairstyles, or like best hairstyles or something. And then try to figure out like, okay, what is your facial structure? And then find some things that are like kind of similar to your facial structure, and find hairstyles that look good with that. The general rule with like all of this stuff with aesthetic stuff is you want to like emphasize the things that you have going and maybe play down things that you don't like so much. So yeah, and a good hairstylist will be able to tell you this stuff. You can definitely search face shape stuff without running into phrenologists. Like, I'm not talking about skull. I'm not talking about like jaw, skull stuff. Like, if you just search like face shape, it's very basic. We're just talking about like head on, oval, square, diamond. There's just like, it's like pretty widely accepted. Give me the Sean baby. Yeah. The pink mohawk is a very powerful look. I think you do need a lot of confidence to pull that one off. Start balding early. Yeah. Or you can start. I thought that you said start balding early as like advice. Yeah, if you start balding early, you can look to things for that. Kevin Klein on Bob's Burgers. Was Kevin Klein on Bob's Burgers? But yeah, like it just I don't know. Do people go to like those cheap hair places still? Is that like a thing? Do those still exist? Surely, right? Like not Mega Cuts, but like something cuts, places like that. Like if you can afford to go somewhere else, try to do that. Great clips, okay. I mean, if you're happy with what you're getting there, then like stay going there. That's fine. But if you are trying to like get some kind of like guidance on like what's gonna look good on me, and they don't necessarily, and you don't feel like you're getting that there, I would say like, yeah, go to a stylist. One thing you could do is like go to like, I don't know. There's all kinds of places you can go. I go to like a Korean hair place, which maybe is kind of weird, but that's like, I don't know. I feel like there have been like crazy advances in hair styling in Korea in the last like 30 years. And that's cool. There's a hockey themed barbershop in Montreal. That's cool. Yeah, so just explore your options and just remember it's just hair. Like, you know, if you fuck it up, just it'll come back, right? Yeah, you gotta make a relationship with your barber or stylist, right? I had a great guy in New York named Hiro who was this Japanese guy who just like was dope as hell. Yeah, it's like that's like something that's, you know, I think women know this, but I mean, some men, there's like, you know, some people have barber relationships, but if you don't, like, that's choice to call. You gotta have a guy. You know, cultivate your like circle of guys. Like, you gotta have a guy for your hair. You gotta have a guy for getting tickets to things. Like, I feel like that's very important, and we've sort of lost that. You need guys for various things in your life. It's like very important. Okay. One other thing about hair. If you ask someone, I don't know if guys know this, but if you ask people if you should do something like very different, like bleach all your hair or like shave your head, people will usually say yes, just because they're not gonna have to deal with the consequences. So like, just keep that in mind. But also do something fucking crazy. No one will notice. Like, beyond like a day or two, if you like shaved your hair, like shaved your head, you know, for a couple days, people will be like, wow, that's crazy. And then no one will care. No one cares what you do. Do whatever you want. I don't know that that's actually that helpful, but it's true. Okay. Don't get an old lady who constantly smokes when she does your hair, or she'll get her clippers stuck in your hair and they'll catch on fire. Yeah, that's good advice. Don't do that. Okay. Can you tell when a guy is using steroids? Do you find that attractive? I mean, the royal you, obviously I can't speak for. Personally, like, no. And this was going around a few weeks ago. We might have talked about this last time, but like, the whole like super jacked thing, the super cut jacked look is like, we did talk about this last time, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. The super cut jacked in the gym for like hours a day look is for other men. Like, I think there's a difference between taking care of yourself and being like obsessive about something. And there's like, I think, a certain degree of like narcissism that's implied when you are that focused on it. And there's all kinds of reasons why people don't necessarily want a partner who is at the gym like every day, unless the other person is too. Then you can go to the gym together. But I don't think anyone should be doing steroids for the purposes of attracting a partner. I I don't think it's ever been necessary or useful even. Um, if you want to get jacked, do it because you want to get jacked. And that's fine. It's your body. You can do whatever you want. But I probably like don't do gear. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I am a little bit going to tell you what to do. Probably don't do gear. It's not worth it. You know, just be natty and yeah. It's fine. Do steroids if you want to hit dingers, then do steroids for sure. Or if you want to be in a Marvel movie, do steroids. But otherwise, it's just not necessary. Okay. Glad we settled that. Okay. This is a big one. How do you learn to be comfortable with yourself and stop trying to seek validation from others? That's the trick, isn't it? That's the trick. Because the thing is, we're social animals, right? Like, we want, like, wanting validation is sort of, like, ingrained in us to some extent, because being ostracized or isolated from other people, historically speaking, is like fatal, right? If you are in a very tightly knit community and you are kicked out of that community or they disapprove of you, that may mean you just don't get the resources you need to live. So I don't think it's irrational to feel that way. But the thing is, a lot of the time, we're not actually in life and death situations. And so something that feels like it can be the end of the world really isn't. If you're someone who was bullied a lot as a kid, you know, you don't really have that much power when you're a kid. And if your peer group is bullying you, you sort of have limited ability to like find another group, right? If you're like in school with the same people all the time, you can't just like, well, I'm just going to go over to this other group of people because there may not be another group of people. So what it can happen is that you get into this place of feeling like being like hyper aware of threats, right? Like, oh, I have to carefully watch to see if everyone is approving of me, because if they're not, everyone could turn on me in like a second. And that can persist into adulthood. And the thing is, like, that may have been a useful defense mechanism when you were younger. It may have been a way of like keeping yourself safe from ridicule or like violence or whatever. But as an adult, that just like isn't, the reality is that you have a lot more ability to affect your situations, right? Like, you're probably not getting picked on as much. You're probably, and I don't mean by like strangers online, because maybe they're fucking people online are assholes, whatever. I mean like by people in your life. Like, you have more agency as an adult than you do as a child. And so you can still be locked in the space of using this defense mechanism, this like hypervigilance that isn't useful to you anymore, but it was at one time. And so how do you get rid of it? This is something where, I mean, it's a lot of work, right? And there's no one thing you can do, but one thing that can help is just like testing your theories about things. And this is sort of a DBT thing. We talked about this a little bit last time, but, and I'm just bringing the question back up. So stop trying to seek validation from others. Become making yourself intentionally uncomfortable in controlled ways, I think can go a long way towards this. Like, this can look like a lot of different things. If you are seeking validation from other people in terms of like, oh, I want people to see me as cool, and so I'm not going to do anything that like might be seen as uncool, and you feel like that's really restricting you, for example, doing something small, like what you can do is like make a list of things that are like, this is actually an exercise from DBT stuff, is like make a list of things that are like distressing to you, that are like, okay, if someone like going outside in like a shirt that I feel stupid in, or like doing karaoke publicly, or like going to a restaurant, eating on my own, or I don't know, like whatever. Like just make a list of things that like you feel like people would judge you for. And then arrange them from like most distressing to least distressing, and start with like some of the least distressing ones and start doing those. Like go outside with a stupid t-shirt on, or even like with your shirt backwards or something. And it seems stupid, but like as you do this stuff, I think what you start to realize is that people don't care. Like most people most of the time do not care. Asking for help at a clothing store. Yeah, like just interacting with people. That can feel like really tense and dangerous. Like what if, and then what you can do in that situation is like, or not in that situation, but what you can think about is like, imagine your worst case scenario. Like if you're like, okay, I want to like ask for help at a clothing store, but I'm worried about what'll happen. Like, okay, what are you worried about? What's the worst possible thing that could realistically happen? What if you ask for help and the person is like, freaks out and, or tells you to fuck off or something? Like that's pretty unlikely, right? But just like imagine what would it be like if that happened? It would suck for a little bit. And then you'd probably just go on with your day, and you might think about it and be like, wow, that was pretty awful, but you didn't die. Like you're not hurt physically. So you could survive that. Right. And just realizing that like the worst thing that we imagine a lot of the time is something that we could actually deal with. Okay. Yeah. Infinite Butts says, Infinite Butts. Yeah, self-confidence also does come from having stuff to be proud of. And so doing things that make you feel strong can kind of wean you off of the need for other people to validate you. So doing things like just like doing things that you feel good about. Like if you're like, oh, I want to like read more, so I'm going to like read a bit of a book every day. I want to like be healthier, so I'm going to go to the gym every day. Like building those little habits of just like things that make you feel good about yourself. And then also like trying to like minimize things that make you feel bad about yourself, that maybe you're like feel good in the moment, but then immediately after, or like, later on, you're like, oh, I feel not great about that. Like, vices basically. Right. So yeah, I hope, that was a bunch of different things, but I hope they were helpful. Okay. I couldn't tell if that was AS or $8 4C Schrader. What do you think about the career aspect? I feel like Sigma grifters glorify chasing the bag, and while I agree, it's not very realistic and focuses on pretty much just non-educated careers. Not that those aren't good, but college is shamed. Yeah, that's it's complicated because if you're in the US right now, a college degree is like signing up for so much debt, and it's like, I don't know, it's a lot to think about, right? But I guess it's kind of important to think about what your goals are, right? Like if you like, what does getting the bag mean to you? Basically, like clarifying what that would look like. Like, do I want to be richer than 90% of people? And if I get there, will I still be looking at the other 10% of people? Will I feel good about myself? How do I want to spend most of my time? And also thinking like, one thing that people think about with wealth a lot is like, or people talk about with wealth a lot is like, I want to make enough money so that I can retire and then I can do what I want. Okay. It is important to think about like trying to save money for your future self, especially because as we get older, we're often like less able to work, right? But at the same time, this idea of like, oh, I'll defer my enjoyment to this hypothetical future date, and not even like enjoyment, but just like, and when I say enjoyment, I don't mean just like jacking off and playing video games. I mean whatever you gives you like fulfillment, right? Like that could be making art, it could just be reading, it could be like playing golf, it could be spending time with people, it could be raising animals, like literally whatever is like important to you. A lot of like the bag chasing stuff is like, I'm gonna work super hard and grind set, and then one day I'll get to like enjoy it. And maybe, I don't know, like if you lived slightly at a slightly less frenetic pace, couldn't you just like enjoy yourself on a longer time scale? It's trade-offs, right? Time versus money, and like having time now versus money in the future, or money now. And I think for a lot of the stuff, it's just clarifying your priorities. Because also there's no guarantee of that long-term future where you get to like relax, which feels kind of dark to say, but there's like all kinds of reasons why that might not be the case. Like there could be an economic crisis, you could get into an accident, there's like all kinds of things that could happen. And so just like trying to think like, is that really what I want? Infinite Butts, going through my worst case scenario has made me more resilient. One time I ran into my second grade teacher and she told me how disappointed she was and how I turned out. Is that real? That's, man. Yeah, if you don't have doubles of every classic car, is life even worth living? Like you need triples, really. And yeah, we all have to pay rent, but yeah, it's like, yeah, you know, at a certain point, yes, you need money. And beyond that, it's like, are you just sort of like making money for this hypothetical version of you that might be able to enjoy it one day? Yeah, and triples is best, obviously. I don't know. Like, I was talking to my dad about this over Christmas, and you know, we had it's like Christmas Day. We had it was Christmas Day, and like I was at my uncle's house, and like it was like me, my sister, my dad's two brothers, one of whom is like in his 70s now, and his other brother and wife, and their daughter, my cousin. And it was the first Christmas that we had since his mom died, which was this past summer, and she was like 95 or something. Like she was older than penicillin, which is kind of crazy to think about. But it was a kind of a weird vibe, and we, you know, everyone had been having some wine, and I forget how this came up, but like I just started talking to my dad, and I was just like, and I had just been to Japan, and you know, also I don't make a ton of money, but like I live frugally enough that I can afford to do things like that once in a while. And I don't have, you know, that's a very specific case. I don't need a car where I live, which is most people, like a lot of people's biggest expense. I don't have kids. Like I'm not supporting anyone. And I do try to save like 10% of what I make, but it's still at this rate will not be nearly enough. Even if I invest all of it, I'm never going to retire, right? But I was talking to him and I'm just like, I don't know, like if I'm doing the right thing. Like, I feel stressed out sometimes about money, and he was just like he put his hand on my shoulder and was like, you can always make money. Like you can always get more money. Like you are doing the right thing. Like, you know, traveling, trying to like see the world, like broaden your perspective and like enjoy things is like more important, because you can always make more money. You can't make more time. And he actually said, like, you know, the end is coming for all of us, whether we want it or not. And you just have to like figure out what is important to you and go after that. And for most people, realistically, I don't think it is money. You need money to do some things that you want to do, but just making money for itself is not going to make most people happy. Some people maybe, but yeah, yeah, I'm supporting Mona. That's true. Where is she? Mona. Hey, where are you? I think she's in her tent. Okay. All right, let me see what we got. Yeah, she's hiding in her little tent. Okay. Okay, this is a good one. Is it possible to be friends with someone you have a crush on? I told my friend I have feelings for her. She let me down gently and told me she's not looking for a relationship. I don't want to lose her as a friend, but I can't help getting all hard eyes whenever I see her. What do? Also, yeah, I just noticed that my camera is doing that thing where it like focuses and unfocuses a lot. So I think I need to get a new camera. That is not the filter. That's just my camera being shitty. You got 5 ads on this stream, Heditator. That sucks. I should look at my settings. I don't know what they are. Okay, so the question is, can you be friends with someone you have a crush on? I have been there, as I'm sure many people have. Yeah, it's tough, right? So so after I went through this breakup a couple of years ago, I started hanging out with a couple of friends of mine who are a couple, and they were like really sweet to me, and just like really chill, and like it was really nice to just have like, you know, I had a lot of friends who were like really helpful and patient and stuff, but like I was spending a lot of time with these people, and they're both like super gorgeous, funny, smart, like well dressing, basically just like choice people, and awesome, you know, great cooks, good taste in wine, good taste in literature, just classy people. And I was spending so much time with them that I started to develop feelings for one of them. And it was kind of tough, right? So it got to the point where I said something about it. Like I said to, I told this person like, hey, I don't know if you guys are like monogamous or what, but I am like very attracted to you, and I just wanted to like put that out there. And she basically said like, I feel the same way, but we are basically like monogamous. And I was like, okay, cool, bet. So what and that, you know, it's kind of like a bummer, but I wasn't like destroyed or anything. But basically what I decided I had to do was spend a little less time with those people for a while, because it's very hard to emotionally disentangle from someone that you were seeing on like a daily or weekly basis. So to the extent that it's possible, I would say try to take some time away from your friend and just like try to make it clear that you're not like, I don't know, if this friend is someone who like shot you down gently, then hopefully they'll understand that like, you know, you just maybe need some time to like, to just like let those feelings sort of simmer and work through them. I will say like when I see this person still, which isn't that often because they're in New York, I still am just like, oh my God, like you're just so beautiful and smart and funny. Like, oh my God. And, so it can still sometimes be like, yeah, it's a lot. But one thing I will say is don't do a lot of drugs with someone that you think you may be developing feelings for. Because then your brain will sort of develop this connection between like, oh, whenever I see this person, I feel really good. like, oh, all my neurotransmitters are just going off whenever I see this person. So yeah, don't do that. But yeah, just step back, try and take some time, get something else going on, if you can, and yeah, just don't try not to fixate. Focus your attention on something else for a while, or someone else if you can, and then hopefully you can go back to just being chill. But yeah, I mean, it can be hard. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. All right, what else? Yeah, plants that involve rotting and festering are usually not good unless you're Nurgle, I guess. Then you want to get your fester on. Okay, there's like several variations of this question, so let's do this. I'm just gonna bring them both up at the same time. Okay, so the first one: what advice do you have for young men who struggle with expressing interest in potential romantic or sexual partners without being self-defeating, creepy, nebbishy, etc.? Yeah, you want to avoid the nebbish. That's never good. And then this one: I often find myself wanting to talk to someone I find attractive at a club, bar, etc., but I'm scared of coming off as a creep, so I don't. How do I make sure I don't do that? Or is it a reasonable fear and I should just keep to myself? That's tough, right? This is tough. A few things. So some people do go to bars and clubs and things. We talked a little bit about the bar thing last week, but I think there's some other stuff to expand on. Some people do go to bars and clubs and stuff to meet people. But not everyone is there for that. Like, a lot of people go to places like this with their friends. And just go to hang out with friends. And so it can be harder to meet people at places like this than people think. Like, cold meeting someone at a bar or club, it happens. Like, I have done it. It is a thing that people do. It's less common, I think, than people believe it to be. Again, because people go out often with their friends. And so cold approaching someone, I mean, there's like all kinds of weird like tactics and shit, right? That you can learn from creeps. But I think like it just being like direct in terms of like, hi, like introducing yourself, not like making excuses. And like offering to buy someone a drink is like sort of a TV thing, but it's also like kind of a nice thing to do. And you know, a lot of it's context. If you see someone on their own who is like hanging out on their own, then that's potentially a possibility. Whereas if they're in a group of people, that you're going to have kind of a harder time. I don't think you should just say like, oh, I should never do this because I'm going to be creepy or whatever. Like, it kind of gets back to the worst case scenario thing, right? Like, what is the worst possible thing that can happen? In most cases, it's that you get rejected. And so pickup artists will say like, so you should do this as much as possible because they, you know, you're building practice. And like, I don't agree with that because you're like, okay, maybe you're building practice, but like, you're also annoying a lot of people or like potentially like whatever. Like there is a victim in the situation if you're just like shotgunning out like weird pickup tactics. But there's like, you know, I think there's this balance, right? Of like not wanting to like be a creep, but on the other hand, not thinking that you're responsible for other people's emotions. So like at a bar, I think it is a totally, in that setting, it's a totally like reasonable thing to say like, hi, how are you? I'm so and so. Can I buy you a drink? If the answer is no, then you move on. But like, if it's yes, then you can start to have a conversation. I think like getting into your head of like, I can never do this, I can never ever do this is, I understand it, right? Because like, I understand that not wanting to be seen as creepy. That seems like really awful and uncomfortable. But yeah, like, you don't want to like get into this place of thinking like, oh, I'm virtuous because I'm not making people uncomfortable. Like, yeah, I think like getting infinite butts, like getting comfortable talking to strangers in a context that isn't romantic, is a good way to start, right? Just like talking to people like at the park or in line for Starbucks or whatever without a goal, without like, and not even like just people you find attractive, but just like anyone. I think a lot of the time people want like this kind of conversation and these kinds of interactions. And at least I do. Like, I like, and some people don't. Some people will go on social media and be like, I can't believe someone tried to talk to me. And like, that's really sad to me. Like, I think if you live in a city, one of the joys of that is that you can have these spontaneous interactions. And anyone who hates that or doesn't want it is like, okay, so what is your ideal life then? Just like moving through the world in a bubble where no one ever speaks to you? It was discourse like a couple of weeks ago. It was like someone just saying like, oh, I miss getting on a plane and like talking to someone and having a little chat. And people were like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. And they were acting like she was a monster for wanting to have a conversation with a stranger. And like, that's so fucked, man. Like, I understand that for some men, there is like this thought of like, I will be seen as a predator if I talk to a woman. Like, that is really not the case. Again, a lot of it's context. Like, you know, a bar is different from a subway car. But again, even like talking to people on the subway sometimes can be fun. And if they are weird, then don't keep talking to them. But yeah, the internet is not real life. That's so key. That's so key. Yeah. This is tough. I think just, again, building up your muscles of like talking to people in person is going to help get you there. Henitator. Yeah, I'd like people to talk to me in public. Yeah, like usually the worst thing that happens when someone does that is like the conversation fizzles out and then you're like feel briefly kind of awkward for a second. You're like, okay, bye. But like, yeah, that's not the worst thing in the world. Find hobbies and clubs with good gender balance too. Yeah, we talked about this last week that like meeting people at bars and stuff is actually harder than people think. And like a good way to meet people, whether like friends or potential partners, is to like join clubs or like find hobbies or go to a gym class or something like that, where you're in a setting where you know that you share an interest already, because that is like already like breaching this gap of like, you're not talking to a total stranger, you're talking to someone who likes at least one thing that you also like. So yeah, that can be really helpful. Okay, what do we have? Yeah, what are some hobbies and clubs and like classes that people can do? What are good clubs? I mean, stuff that I do, like I go to an MMA gym and it's mostly guys, but I would say depending on the class, it's like a quarter to 1/10 women usually. But cooking classes, yeah, that, although just make sure you don't go to like a couples one. But yeah, cooking stuff or like a book club or board games, or like, yeah, I don't know, I feel like board games, there's, you know, pottery pottery has like become so big in the last like few years, or like art classes also. If there's like an art school where you live, I was doing drawing classes for a while, and the first one I did was me and mostly people in their 60s because it was at 9 in the morning on a Monday. So probably don't do that if you're looking to meet people. I mean, if you're looking to meet grandmas, then do that. But otherwise, it might not be the most helpful. Okay. I'm unemployed. I have BPD, and I'm almost 30. I have no idea what to do with my life. What are some things I could do with my time that could help me find some direction or purpose? I'd like to help or work with others, but I don't know where to start. Thanks. Competitive ballroom dancing. Wow, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so almost 30, you have BPD, no idea what to do with your life. What are some things you can do to help you find direction or purpose? I'd like to help or work with others, but I don't know where to start. Okay. Yeah, that's a big one. Finding purpose is sort of the challenge for a lot of people, right? Animal shelters, that's a good one. Blackjack. I think, yeah, volunteering at a library or an animal shelter is a good place to start. Libraries, at least the ones in my area, usually want volunteers for things like helping older people with technology or helping like newly settled people with English or like accessing services and things like that. There are things that you can do usually without like too much training, which is nice. And then, other stuff in terms of like finding direction or purpose. I mean, just like trying stuff, right? Like, I think something that I forget a lot of the time is we have access to like an insane amount of resources through YouTube and like the internet just generally. And so much of the internet is awful now, but there's also just so much. Like, if you want to like pick up a skill in ways it's easier than it's ever been to like learn photography or to learn knitting or to learn weightlifting or cooking or anything, all of these things, like there is so much out there, which can be kind of overwhelming, but just like making a list of like things you would like to know how to do, like things that would be cool to learn how to do, and then either finding classes or like doing YouTube videos or whatever. And just like picking a few of those, see how they feel, and not being too in your head about like, I need to get like insanely good at this, but just like trying stuff, right? Like you're almost 30, which feels probably like you are really old and you've wasted your life or something. But there's good news and bad news, which is the good news is that that's not true. And the bad news is that you will probably feel like that on and off forever to some extent. I don't know, like, I think a lot of people go in cycles with this stuff, right? Being like, oh my God, I'm 20, I'm so old. And then you get to 30 and you're like, wow, I thought I was really old 10 years ago. I'm old now. And then that just keeps going on. But yeah, trying stuff out. And yeah, I think a lot of people are saying like volunteering and stuff, and going on Facebook and finding like opportunities and activities for stuff. Yeah, I'm realizing that I'm going to need to get back on Facebook, which is kind of dire. I haven't been on Facebook since 2017, and I'm not looking forward to it, but a lot of local stuff is just on there. Like people just kind of settled on that, and there's not a ton of other good alternatives, like besides Nextdoor, which is mostly people paranoid about brown people. Yeah, Facebook is basically just the only game in town for that stuff. 2B says life has a funny way of happening for you. It just takes longer for some than others. Yeah. So yeah, I would say like volunteering at an animal shelter, at a library, something like that. And then just trying stuff out. Like, mess around with drawing, mess around with painting or photography or cooking or there's so many things you can do. And like, I think as you start to try things like this, you realize like how big the world is and like how many options you have and how many things you can try and learn, which can feel really empowering. Yeah, next door is a nightmare. Hello, Comrade Nismo. Okay, what else have we got? Okay, how does one make friends as an adult? Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been talking about this stuff already. The, you know, groups and clubs and game nights and things. Those are all great ways to meet people, right? Like when I was going to, I stopped playing Magic because I kind of hate it, and I hate the IP stuff, but that's like a whole different conversation. But for like a few months there, I was going to Friday night drafts, and you know, I met some people through that who were pretty cool, and like we hung out. I went to like a party at one of their houses. We did karaoke together, and I haven't been hanging out with them as much lately, but you know, that's things like that are pretty. Is this happy birthday also? I guess it is royalty free. But how do you quit Magic? I mean, just like get really furious at like all the Universes Beyond stuff and become a chud who hates it and then stop. That's what worked for me. If you like Final Fantasy, then I can't help you. Then you're stuck until Spider-Man starts. But yeah, again, like going to bars and stuff is really hard to make friends at places like that. The move is go to a place where people are doing something that you're also doing and move from there. That is, I think, just like the OP move in this situation. Spider-Man is not coming to MTG Arena because they couldn't secure digital rights. Damn. Well, I mean, that's good, I guess, for Ganj. Okay. I'm a dad of 2 and want to know how you think I can best protect my kids from this shit. Seems so insidious. Tate stuff will just pop up wherever they are online, so it feels like my options are either hypervigilance or just YOLO and hope for the best. Yeah. I really can't imagine raising kids right now. At least like older kids. Like I have friends who have, you know, kids who are like 4 or 5 years old. And even that is like kind of weird because it's like, oh, they're just like online all the time. It's a little alarming. But yeah, if you have like teens, especially, yeah, if you have like teen boys and they're like consuming gaming content and then YouTube is doing that thing where it funnels them into just like the most deranged, angry people on the planet. And, you know, that's awful because if there's someone who is like respected for like gaming content, but then they're creating this like really hateful stuff that's just like encouraging your kids to blame everyone else for their problems, they're more likely to listen to them, right? And Skullgun, there's a book that came out about this recently. How to Talk to Your Son About Fascism, Craig Johnson. Okay. Yeah, that seems like, I mean, I don't know much about that book, but that sounds like probably a good book. Yeah, I think that's also true. Blackjack is like kids are smarter than people give them credit for. And being open with them and like, I think just making sure there's like role models for kids in your life. Like, you know, if you are raising your kids as someone who has integrity and models a kind of strength that isn't about dominating other people, or, you know, like putting people down, then they're going to see that. I think part of the problem is like, and this has been a problem long before the internet, right? This is a problem with TV of just like, if people are working and like, you know, having to work a ton to like pay for having kids and don't have time to like be around their children, and kids are like exposed to media much more than they are to like their parents, then it doesn't necessarily matter what their parents' beliefs are. They're just getting exposed way more. Like in terms of volume, there's just way more stuff coming from mass media than there is coming from their parents. And so it's like hard to combat this stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I think kids see like how you react to things and like how you deal with situations. And having like other people in their lives who are doing this too, like teachers, I think is really important. Like having them see people who are adults who are older and like are living in a way that is or that seeing people that are cool, because this is one problem. This is actually a core issue, is like kids do like take stuff from their parents, but like at a certain age your parents are not cool, right? And so Hannah Tater says something about, okay, so in my middle school, every 13-year-old boy was watching SJW cringe compilations in 2015. Yeah, because that was like, that's like, at that age, people were like, oh, this is cool or edgy or like countercultural or whatever, right? And especially if your parents are like, I don't want you watching that. Like, you have to be able to articulate what is wrong with those things. But at the same time, I think there is this weird thing where like kids just by default like see their parents as not cool, right? And like are going to want to rebel against them. And so if their parents are like liberal or leftist vaguely or whatever, then like, okay, are they going to rebel by just being assholes? Like some of them might. But I think just like having an honest conversation about like why that shit is like so toxic and like horrible. And it's like, yeah, do you want to live your life as someone who other people can count on and who you like feel good about who you are? Or do you want to be someone who blames everyone else for their problems, like blames, you know, women or brown people or whatever minorities for their problems? Or do you want to like take responsibility for your life and like be someone that other people respect and that you respect too? Obviously I don't have kids, so I can't speak exactly to how this works, but I think, yeah, just be having conversations with them about this stuff. I have to save my kids by getting really into country music and nationalism. Yeah, and then they'll be like, fuck this. I'm going to get really into like, I don't know, leftist punk music and organizing. I do wonder about that though. Yeah, it's weird. Kids are less rebellious than we think. That might be true. Yeah, and I think to some extent kids are rebellious against parents when they have arbitrary rules and are like seen as tyrannical in some way, or like don't explain things or don't talk to them. We all listen to against me in this household. Okay. Creepy questions. We've done a bunch of the questions about feeling creepy. I think that's right, that kids act out, but then their beliefs sort of align for the most part. Okay, this is just kind of funny. What makes the perfect butt? I mean, just do squats. Just do squats, bro. I don't know. A third cheek. Yeah. A third additional secret cheek. Or, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if the butt is like as important. Was this a Cedric the Entertainer bit? I could not tell you. But Total Recall woman, but for butt cheeks. Yeah, 3 butt cheeks. I mean, yeah, if you're serious and you know, oh yeah, just do squats. I don't know, just get toned. Just, you know, squats are good in general. They kind of suck, but the more you do, they'll, you know, be easier. Wait, okay, Blackjack, your parents sat you down during a free HBO trial and showed you one of those shows about nudists to understand the human body? Here's what a butt really looks like. This is a real human butt. So just really drink this in. All right. Okay, here's one. I think that I've come to the conclusion that I'm perfectly happy being a burnt out slacker that does drugs and plays video games and jacks off all day. Is that bad? I mean, not necessarily. I guess one thing I would challenge here, or gently push on, is A, like, how long have you been doing this? And B, how long do you think it will continue to make you happy? Because definitely there have been times in my life when that's mostly what I was doing. I was mostly doing drugs and playing video games. And I had a job, but, you know, I was, especially like early pandemic, I was doing a lot of drugs and playing video games. And for a while, I was just like, yeah, this kicks ass. Like, hey, Morty, yeah, getting high and playing video games fucking rules. Morty, But there was always like this little voice in my head. And maybe this is just a me problem, but there's always this little voice that was like you're wasting the precious gift of life by plugging yourself into, because I was playing Destiny also. So it was like a game where I was doing the same thing over and over and over again. Sometimes I was raiding with clanmates and hanging out with them. That was cool. But a lot of the time it was not experiencing a new story or like a unique mechanic. It was just repeating stuff. It was compulsive, right? And the drugs too, compulsive, right? It was just like, you are just trying to like silence something or hide from something. And when I say you, I mean I was talking to myself. And the longer you do this, the harder it's going to be to stop. And so for me, I guess I kind of realized, like, you know, in 10 years, in 20 years, I will have wanted to do certain things. And doing a lot of drugs and playing a lot of video games is not one of the main things I will have wanted to do. And this is tough, right? Because there's been research on this. We don't see our future selves as ourselves. Like, when we think of the person we are going to be in 10 or 20 years, we can't really do that. We can't think of like this as being me. It's like someone else. And because you will, in a way, be someone else. All the cells in your body will have like rotated out. You'll have changed from your experiences. And so all I will say is that, like, if you look deep down within yourself and decide, I'm happy jacking off and playing video games and doing drugs, and in 10 years I will look back and think that this was time well spent, then chase your bliss, Godspeed, go for it. But if there is this doubt of like, oh, I will maybe have wished that I spent at least a little bit of that time creating something of my own in some way, whether that's, and I don't necessarily mean creating like publicly, but just like anything, writing poetry that you don't share with anyone, working out, doing whatever, then think about like, okay, do I want to start doing a little bit more of that? Does that make sense? I think just thinking about the distinction between your current self and your hypothetical future self, Yeah, it's tough. It's really hard to get to that place of like, yeah. I mean, Hannah Tater brings up the thing about. I mean, what are those called? What's that square called? It's named after like a president, I think. The like important but non-urgent, right? Of like stuff that is important, meaningful to you, but doesn't have to be done tomorrow. And that stuff is so easy to put off, right? And we like kind of want to do the stuff that's like not important and not urgent, or the stuff that is urgent but not important. I struggle with this a lot. Like I have, I'm like, oh, I want to be like writing this novel. I want to be working on this short film, but there's like all this bullshit I have to do, or like I'm so tired I just want to watch a movie or something. And it's hard. But again, like if you are happy and if you believe that you are going to be happy doing this stuff, then keep going. I think if you're using it to hide from a fear or an uncomfortable feeling, then that's when you want to like start interrogating that a little bit more. Probably as long as you're not playing Destiny or another live service game, you're fine. Quitting Destiny was probably harder than quitting ketamine for me. I have to make some crazy clips of me doing cool stuff. We'll get there. Don't worry, we'll get there. I'll make some clips of me kicking a heavy bag off the hooks or something. We'll build up to it. I'll make some Kimura compilations or something. Did I mean Venn diagram to Martin Van Buren? No, there's like this square, what is it? Urgent important matrix. The Eisenhower matrix. Yeah, it's called the Eisenhower matrix. Yeah, quitting Destiny was like harder than quitting ketamine for me. I basically like, so tried ketamine again, like in like January, and was like, why did I ever like this? This sucks. I still have dreams about like reinstalling Destiny and just being like, maybe I'll just see what it's like. Maybe I'll see how things have changed. What's up with my old friends Crow and Cade came back 2 years ago, I guess. And, well, okay, KPP 9623, we've been dealing with that. So, we will, we're addressing things. We're talking about Destiny right now, though. So, yeah, long story short, if you're happy playing video games and jacking off and smoking weed or doing drugs, I don't know. The thing about doing drugs is if you're smoking weed every day, then maybe that's not the worst thing. But, that stuff can also take a toll on you. Just, keep an eye on it, I guess. Make a video punching and kicking the ghost from Destiny. Take that, Peter North, or whoever you're voiced by. Die. Okay. Do I need to develop a personality, or do I already have one and it's just strange and off-putting? Well, I mean, I don't know you. But there is one thing I've noticed about Patrick Bateman. One thing I've noticed about like a lot of self-help content in the last few years, and this has probably always been the case, but YouTube has really started pushing this stuff, is like there's this drive to like categorize yourself as like, and you see this in all kinds of things, right? Like the alpha, beta, sigma thing, fashion, like, oh, I'm dark academia, I'm this. People like are like, if I just find the right term for what I am, then everything will fall into place. And I think that it often is a cart before the horse kind of thing. Those things are descriptive of things more than they are like useful as things to chase, if that makes sense. Like, you're probably not strange and off-putting. You probably just imagine that you are. And one thing you might have to do is what we were talking about earlier of testing your theories about oh, am I strange and off-putting? I'm going to go, talk to someone and see if they freak out and run away. The right term for who you are is corny. You immediately lose the title of anything if you assign yourself one. To some extent, yeah. I mean, I think people get too wrapped up in like worrying about, oh, am I this kind of guy? Am I this? Am I this? Like, that stuff is all made up. Like, it's made up to sell shit to you. It's made up to sell clothing to you. It's made up to sell YouTube videos and not to YouTube videos, but like courses to like, oh, I'm gonna be this kind of person once I do this course. Like, also you see this on YouTube or not YouTube, Instagram. Those ads of like disappear for 6 months and come back as like shadow guy or something. Like, I don't know. You're not shadow guy, but yeah. If people are telling you that you're strange and off-putting, then that's something maybe you want to think about. Like, okay, well, what is causing people to say this? And if there are people you trust who you can ask, like, hey, people say that I'm strange and off-putting. What's that about? And then hopefully they will be able to be like, okay, well, so when you walk into a room and start screaming and shitting your pants, that's pretty strange and off-putting. So don't do that. But it's probably not that, right? I don't know. My sense is that probably you are not as strange and off-putting as you think. And you are assigning... This is something that a lot of people do, right? It's called mind reading. And you have an interaction with someone and it goes a certain way. Or you just don't even have the interaction. You just do this preemptively. You think that you know what someone is thinking. And that shapes how you react to them. And that's super common. Like, basically everyone does it to different extents, but it is, you don't know what other people are thinking. So one example of this that I like to tell people is when I was in high school, I had this history teacher, and he told us this story of how he was like, when you're giving presentations, don't look at me, like just sort of like look at the class. Okay. Because one time someone was giving a presentation and made eye contact with him, and he had like a really like, he was just like, like kind of this like dour face. And they got so like in their head about it. They're like, oh, I'm fucking up. And then they just like bombed after that. Like they blew the presentation. And it turned out that look had nothing to do with the presentation. He was distracted thinking about whether or not he like started cooking a roast at home. And so like the student had just like imputed, and it was like, you know, maybe that was a reasonable thing to think, like, oh, I'm giving a presentation. The teacher is supposed to be paying attention. He's making a face. Therefore, I'm doing badly. But you don't know, right? And like assuming you do know that people think you're off-putting or weird or whatever is not going to help you. So trying to like test that assumption again, unless people are telling you that, in which case it's worth trying to. But I feel like if people were telling this person that, he would have said like, your personality, people tell me I'm strange and off-putting. And that's, you know, it's a different situation. So yeah, mind reading. We have all of these like cognitive traps that we fall into that are really like just omnipresent. Like, so everyone does. They're cognitive distortions is what they're called. And mind reading is like one of the most common ones. But there's like a whole bunch of other ones like that. We've kind of been like talking about some of them, but if you just Google like thinking traps, like there's things like black and white thinking is one too, right? Like if I don't do perfect on this, then I'm failing. Or like, oh, I told myself like I wouldn't drink at all this week, and I had one beer, and I'm like a failure and a monster. Or like, you know, labeling like I'm stupid or I'm a loser, like just like putting negative labels on things. These are all things that like you can work on, right? They're hard, and like a lot of them are really ingrained, but there are techniques that people have developed to try to overcome them. And it's tough. I'm not going to tell you it's not, but they can be. Okay. Hey, thanks for the sub, Ezra. All right. Got a few. I think we maybe have a few more in here, but let me look. Cognitive distortions are hard to get rid of, but overcoming them doesn't mean totally eliminating them. Yeah, it kind of just means like there's this thing in DBT that people talk about of like being on a thought train, and like kind of stepping back from your thoughts. This is sort of also Buddhism. Like a lot of the stuff, if you get into it at all, you'll start to realize like, oh, this goes back to like Stoicism, Buddhism, like ancient philosophies of like kind of trying to separate yourself from the thought word machine that's in your head, that's just like constantly producing these thoughts and words, and like stepping back and just being like, okay, that's not me. Like that's just like my brain generating stuff that is valueless. It just is there, and I don't necessarily have to listen to it. I mean, yeah, you can control your own mind, but it's tough because like we're biologically like our brains just generate meaning, right? And like generate connections between things, and that can be really useful. It can also be like it can really fuck you up if you're not careful. And you can't not think too, which is tough. You can't just like turn that off. It's always on. Okay. Advice for men question. I feel ashamed of having a high sex drive. I worry women find me pervy or gross for liking sex. To be clear, I keep this stuff to myself, and it results in me being very repressed. Too embarrassed to bring this up to anyone I know. Any thoughts? There is nothing wrong with having a high sex drive. Just first of all, right off the bat, that is just something that varies between people. Some people it's lower, some people it's higher. Being on the higher end is like you have nothing to be ashamed of. And I can say that, but I can also recognize that like you could feel ashamed for this, and just saying it won't stop it. So one thing that jumped out at me in this is this idea of like being ashamed of it and worrying people will find you pervy or gross. And so you keep it to yourself, and it results in you being very repressed. Yeah, I think one issue that can happen here is like having secrets like that is this still happy birthday? Jesus Christ. This is a terrible jazz compilation. But having secrets like that is like kind of eats at you. I don't know if anyone else knows this or feels this way, but like I think it's not good to have like to do stuff behind closed doors that I'm not saying like you have to live in the open 100% of the time, but being secretive about things fosters shame. Like, because you're telling yourself this is something I should be ashamed of. And so there is a difference, there's a spectrum, right? There's like being a weirdo who is going around being like, wow, I'm super horny. Like I want to fuck someone. And then on the other end of that, which is bad, obviously. And then on the other end, trying to sort of like act as if this is not a part of your life at all. Like sex is not part of who you are, when it is for like most people. And keeping it a secret, that is not good for you either. And like, I think, trying to find someone who can match your freak is going to be a really big part of this. Like some people will be very happy to find, someone like you. So I think that is like, there's someone out there for everyone in terms of desire for sex. But yeah, like to the extent that you are keeping your sex life to this private thing that is between you and presumably pornography, if you are the kind of mental brain maxer who is just jacking off to stuff that's in your head, then God bless. But I feel like that's not a type of guy anymore. Like, I don't think anyone, trying to think, like, is that a person? Like, maybe if you're in like Kamchatka or something and you don't have high speed internet, like if you're in the Antarctic and you just connect with like dial up satellite, but like, I don't know. I think whatever, porn is like a complicated subject, but, and I find myself in the position of usually being the person who is like arguing against whatever the position being put forward is. But I'm not like a, because there are people who are like, oh, porn is 100% fine and it's just like moral panic and alarmism. And I don't buy that. I also don't buy that like porn should be like banned or like, you know, more tightly controlled. And it's just complicated, and a lot of it comes down to just like the ability to use something or like interact with something responsibly. It's like drinking is, you know, like I don't think, like I think drinking alcohol culture is like pretty bad. I also don't think that like prohibition is a great solution, and I feel kind of similarly about porn. And the fact that you keep calling it core is very funny to me. Do you also say unalived? But I also think that like the people who are like anti-porn a lot of the time are like real freaks about it. Like they're like, it's a Jewish conspiracy. Like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. Holy shit, dude. But yeah, I don't know. FetLife. Yeah, people brought up FetLife and like, you know, finding people who are like, because if that's like your thing, right? If you're just like ready to go, if you're just full of cum and young and dumb, then I don't know. What's the alternative? Like just become a monk or like take medication, like take the pills that Burt Ward allegedly took or claims that he took when he was filming the Batman show to like make his dick smaller, which almost certainly like was not true, but he did say that. He did say he did that. Yeah. So again, this is nothing to be ashamed of. And I think you may be compounding your own shame. Yeah, okay, sorry. We're going to get into Burt Ward. Burt Ward, who played Robin on the 60s Batman show, he has a completely insane memoir where he claims to have had sex with a Dracula, among other things. Like, that's not a joke. He claims that he had sex with a woman and then found out that she kept blood in her fridge, and then was chased by a giant dog. Like a real vampire. And he also claims that a doctor, like a Nazi doctor, prescribed him dick shrinking pills because his bulge was too big in the tights in like the suit, and it was distracting, and like Christian groups were mad at him. Don't know how we got here. Also, just Adam West was apparently just crushing pussy constantly, and Burt Ward was just getting thrown scraps. It's an incredible book, and he's just a unrepentant liar. Good stuff. Okay, let me do a couple more. Yo, how the fuck do I find someone to date if I have an extremely niche sexuality and feel like there are simply very few people who'd ever have the same sexuality, asexual spectrum micro-label type of thing? So I think you may need to relax your hold on that identity a little bit. So you say you have an extremely niche sexuality and feel like there are a few people who'd ever have the same thing. And so I'm guessing it's something about whether you're actually interested in having sex or like to some extent more or less. And I think that's totally fine. It's fine to like want sex sometimes or not at all or whatever, as long as you're open about that going into a relationship. But I think, obviously, I don't know you and I don't know what your specific thing is. I worry, you know, with those disclaimers, I worry that you may be like limiting yourself by thinking, I have to meet someone who also identifies in this specific way. And we kind of talked about this last week, but like in interactions with other people, identity matters much less than we tend to think. And we can get hung up on these things and think that they're kind of determining our experiences when it's often the other way around. So, I mean, yeah, Blackjack points out like there are plenty of people who aren't, you know, don't share your understanding of yourself for them, who will understand you and appreciate you still. And being able to like step back a little bit from that, I think is going to be key. Sorry, yeah, my interface is like, they updated Stream Elements or whatever it's called, and I'm just like very confused by it. Yeah, I don't know. This is, you know, it's kind of tough. If it's a thing where you're like, I'm not interested in sex, then just being upfront about that. But if it's a thing where you're like, I'm interested in sex, but only under these specific scenarios, like, I mean, I think just being upfront about that. Maybe if there are like groups or, you know, I hate to recommend Facebook groups, but like if there are Facebook groups for the specific thing that you are a part of, go to some furry conventions. Yeah, I mean, you might meet Violent J, which is what happened to me when I went to a furry convention, which was cool. He had a custom fursuit made so that he could go to a furry convention with his daughter, and it was an ICP fursuit. So that was cool. That was pretty chill. Yeah, being too online can make you put a lot of importance on stuff that you find out isn't even you, for sure. Blackjack, I think that's totally true. I think all the like silos shit is like, oh, echo chambers and whatever. Like, that's not necessarily true, but it is true that like you can start to think things are really important, that like you go out into the world and you're like, oh, actually people are like chill and I can talk to a much wider range of people than I thought I could. Let me see. We might be out of questions. Talked about the dad, talked about being off-putting and creepy. Yeah, rigid labeling feels like, yeah, music subcultures, like, or music subgenres. Yeah, like, no, this is sludge. No, it's doom. It's grime metal. Like, I don't even know. I think sludge is real. I think doom is real. I don't know if grime metal is real. Okay. I'm the kind of person who feels insane whenever I'm sitting by anyone and there's silence. But in the current age of mobile internet, where everyone's always on their phones, it feels imposing to try and make conversation. So then when/how is it appropriate to chat? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Yeah, we talked about time and place. But I think it's basically like, if you're not trying to get something out of a conversation, if you're not trying to sell someone on something or get something from someone, I think it is basically always okay, pretty much, to talk to someone in public. Like there are exceptions, obviously, but if you're not like, oh, I'm gonna like get into a huge conversation with this person, or oh, I want to like go out with this person or whatever. Like if you're not trying to get something or yeah, sell them something, then I think, I don't know. Yeah. People do be on their phones too much, you know? And like I recently just like took all the apps off my phone. So my phone just like looks like this now. It's really boring. I can't really do much on it anymore. I got to watch so that I stop looking at my phone to know what time it is. I still have Google Maps and stuff, but yeah, like I don't know, we're getting into my whole thing now, but just like people are on their phones too much, but like it's true. I don't know, like I think you lose something, right, when you're stuck in glued into your phone. You lose out on the potential of just like a little conversation with someone that may not be like a huge deal, but like can be pleasant. And sometimes those conversations are like, you know, most of those kind of interactions with people, most of those chance interactions are not deeply meaningful, don't lead anywhere. But sometimes they do. Sometimes they lead to work opportunities, or sometimes they lead to meeting a new friend or dating someone. Like that can happen. I don't think you should count on it, but the fact that you cut out that whole possibility just by being on your phone all the time is, I think, pretty damning for phone. Yeah, forcing yourself to use web apps is great because they're fucking awful and just like not as fun, and you don't get the dopamine going. Yeah, I don't know. Like honestly, okay, so I've started sometimes I go to a bar, and like I live pretty close to like a few, you know, little like pub type bars, and we'll just go out to like have a drink, and sometimes to just like read, and sometimes to just like chill. And I usually sit like out the bar, and I don't know, like to me, I'm like, I left the house because I want to be around other people and like engage with other people. And sometimes, you know, sometimes people will strike up conversations. And sometimes they just like won't. Sometimes you can just start talking to a bartender, but it's like, no, just fucking go for it. Like it's fun. You know, just try to like do these little things of just breaking out of this fear of interacting with people. We have all been made so afraid to interact with other people, and I think it's so fucked. Like this gets back to that thing we were talking about before of like a few weeks ago, the plane thing of like someone being like, oh, I miss having conversations on planes, and like and the response to that being like, you're awful, like, no, you're imposing on people, like you're fucking terrible. It's like that's a really grim version of reality, where no one interacts with each other. Like if you read Times Square Red, Times Square Blue by Sam Delaney, or like there's all kinds of books on this, on like urbanism, right, in like the 20th century, of like that's what's so cool about cities, is like they put people into close quarters and like created all these really interesting situations. And the fact that people don't want that is kind of grim. Like I don't know, go live in the woods if you don't want that. Obviously everyone has like places to be, and so like just stopping and talking and having long conversations is not feasible, but that's different than like just interacting with people, you know. All right, I'm gonna do one last check here. Yeah, the plane thing, yeah, it was like, we can be grown up enough to, if someone is trying to talk to you on a plane and you're like, hey, I have to, like, it's been nice talking to you, but I'm just gonna like read for a while or something. Like, if we're both adults, that should be fine. I guess the risk is maybe someone isn't an adult, but I've been doing some questions from last week too. I don't know that I wrote them or got them all down, but I was going through a bunch of them. So I'm sorry if I missed yours. I had to skip past a lot of like joke ones. Reading Times Square Red, Times Square Blue right now, and it's low-key changed my life. It's a good-ass book. It's a really good book. If you're interested at all about like the history of cities in America, Times Square Red, Times Square Blue, really good. I think we might be done with these. You've been watching Merit Souls and really enjoying them. Thank you. Yeah, those. God, it's been a minute. I think those VODs are still up on the Fanboy YouTube. Sometimes just talking about like how the crops have been is what you need. God, okay. After I went to my first Mets game 2 years ago, like I just felt a sudden kinship with everyone in the city who was wearing Mets gear, and like I would just be in like the pizza joint and like see a guy in a Mets hat and just be like, oh man, you see that game last night? And that's like the feeling. Like I understand sports now because like holy shit, that feeling of just like I have a connection to this stranger and we're both just like, oh yeah, oh, and if they won you're like, yeah, that was fucking beautiful, and if they lost you're like, yeah, that was rough. Find a local sports team. That's really good advice. Just like find a local sports team, just get into them, name 3 players, because that is like rivals cocaine in terms of the feeling, the rush that you will get from talking to a stranger about the local sports team. Fucking incredible. It's like people are trying to reinvent all this stuff that like people invented like 50 years ago, right? Like that's like exactly Xenolon. Sports are a social lubricant that doesn't require that you drink. It's just like a point of contact. And the more of those you have, the more kinds of people you can talk to, which is great. So, yeah. The Mets, baby. Love the Mets. Get into the Mets. I mean, get into a team wherever you live. It doesn't have to be the Mets. Also, just go to baseball games. Baseball games kick ass. Baseball games are so much fun. And there's something you can do with other people. And you have a connection to other people who are there, even. Minor league games good too. Brooklyn Cyclones. Love the Sykes. Now we're just getting into sports talk, which hey, what's up? I fight for them. Yeah, local sports is fun. The Brooklyn Cyclones have a Seinfeld night every year. I think most minor league teams have like a weird night that they do, or like multiple weird nights to get people to come, which is fun because they do goofy stuff. Let me see if I've missed any of these. Can you walk us through the ideal DM slide? Okay. That's tough, but I can tell you things that you shouldn't do for sure. Don't send a message really late and then the next day send one apologizing and saying you were drunk. That just never looks good. That just, like if you can't, first of all, you probably shouldn't be sending messages when you're drunk. Like that's just a general good rule. I get it. You're like, oh, I need this little bit of like courage to do this. But first of all, it's probably a bad idea. Second, like sending the like, I'm sorry, I was drunk. Here's what that says. That says, I'm the kind of person who drinks and makes choices that I then regret, which is like a terrible foot forward. That like, there's no scenario in which that is good. Yeah, you probably should just close your socials when you're drunk, unless you get, like, I think it's fine if you get kind of like, melancholic and just post Los Campesinos lyrics. I think that's okay. But beyond that, yeah, don't lose your shit if they don't respond to it or acknowledge it. Definitely don't get drunk and say, or hi and say, it's my birthday. Can I buy feet pics from you? That's like never gonna go well. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question too. Joseph in your walls. What is the goal? Like, what is the goal here? Are you trying to get to a hookup or dating situation? If that's the case, then like, hopefully you will have at least like exchanged messages or like, tweeted at or replied to this person before, because the cold DM with zero contact, like a cold DM, unless you have incredible riz or some superhuman talent, is just like almost certainly not going to work. It's like anything, right? It's like cold approaching someone at a bar. It's like, but it's not, because at a bar, approaching someone confidently, at least you have the confidence to do that in person. And maybe you're buying someone a drink or something. Sending a cold DM is like, that doesn't say anything about you. I think, I don't know. I think you just like, to me, the way to go is like, as someone who has done this, but obviously it's not the same thing. I understand that. Like if you don't already have some kind of rapport with this person in like replies, then it's probably not going to go anywhere. And, they may just like ignore it, in which case you should just also let it go. Or they may reply and say that they're not interested or something. And okay, wow, chat got crazy for a second here. Wait, it's okay, hold on. Do you remember playing Magic the Gathering against a man named Lion at a Magic pre-release 10 years ago? 10 years ago. No. Wait, maybe? If it was Kaladesh in Brooklyn or in New York, I don't remember Lion, but I did. That was the closest to 10 years ago that I was at a pre-release. Okay, sorry, I'm scrolling down. Oh, did Mona show up? Hey! Hey! Come here. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, yeah, come here. Oh, she's here. What's up? Come here. Yeah, come here. I'm gonna pick you up. You're gonna hate it. You're gonna be on TV. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm catching up on chat. Yeah, everyone's excited about Mona. In Greenwich Village? Okay, yeah, I was there. Pearl Zone. I forget what that place was called, but I definitely was there. I went there with like some of the NYU Game Center professors. Yeah. Yeah, good cat. She's a good ass cat. Okay, I caught up. Yeah, she's a dope cat. Hey, what's up? What were we talking about? DMs. Yeah, I don't know. They can work, but again, they're more likely to, like, I think the DM is if you are flirting with someone already, then moving to DMs is a good idea. If you are just like sliding cold, I don't know. It like almost never works. as far as I know. It's because also, yeah, like what's your end game here? Like, does this person even live in the same city as you? Do you just want pics? Oh, another thing you shouldn't do. I can't believe I have to say this, but don't try to buy. Yeah, like don't ask for content from people. Like, don't say like, "Can I buy nude pictures of you?" or something. Like, I think it's kind of crazy that OF and stuff has kind of normalized doing that. But that's like an insane thing to say to someone who is not already like like a porno content creator, to just be like, "Hey, can I buy like nude pictures of you?" Like imagine like saying that to someone on the street, right? That's an insane thing. You just would not do that, so why do that online? Yeah. Asking them for a Dark Souls playthrough, yeah. What if you're some kind of bro influencer and there's a lady with a podcast who got famous for making blowjob sound effects? I mean, there's always exceptions, right? There's exceptions to every rule. But yeah, don't do that. Yeah. Again, the DM slide, the DM slide is like fabled in the same way that like the bar pickup is fabled. It does happen, but it happens much less than people believe. And like gets to a broader point that I want to address. I think people think that everyone else is having a lot more sex than them, and that if they were having that much sex, they would be happy. And don't get me wrong, like there is nothing wrong. We were talking about that guy who said he feels like he has a really high sex drive. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, you shouldn't feel ashamed of that. It's just human variation. Some people want to fuck more than others. That's fine. But I think there is this belief that like everyone is fucking more than me, and I would feel fulfilled and happy if I was. And there's two lies there, right? Like the first one is that everyone is having a lot more sex than you, because I was looking at this the other day, and I think the average American like lifetime, actually let me bring the number up. Average American lifetime sexual partners, it's like 7 to 10. Like 4 to 10 is average lifetime. Like not in your 20s, not in your 30s. Like that's total. And obviously for most people that number, like most of those will be concentrated more towards the closer end, or like the younger end of things than the older end. But that said, like older people are fucking like crazy in retirement homes. It got to the point where like in Florida at some of these communities, there were like outbreaks of STDs because old people were fucking so much and weren't using condoms or anything. Define partners, just like people you have had sex with once. At least once is how they define it. 7 to 10 or 4 to 10. So this idea that everyone else but me is like just fucking constantly and like, that's a lie. And also the idea that, oh, I would be fulfilled. Again, happy birthday. That I would be fulfilled and feel good about myself if I had sex all the time. I mean, look, fucking is cool if you want to do it. It's also like not always cool. Like it can be boring or disappointing, or especially if you've built stuff up in your head, especially if you have these images from porn and stuff that you've built up in your head, or like anything, fanfic, whatever. It can just be average. It can be dull. and it is not going to fix you or make you feel like a complete person, or like, you know, maybe briefly you'll feel like, oh fuck yeah, dude, but like long term, it's like any other external source of validation. It's not going to make you feel complete um or whole. So people are like constantly chasing this with, like, you know, DMs and pickup culture and stuff, and like, I don't know, as someone who has, like, not to brag, but like my number is like a little bit higher than 7 to 10. I think it's great. If you want to have a lot of sex, then go for it, or try to go for it, or whatever. But like, just know that it's not going to, it may like teach you new things and it's fun, whatever. There's all kinds of reasons to do it, but like, it's just one human activity. There are many others, and focusing on it to the exclusion of everything else, I think, is detrimental to people. Oh, so there's a question of what languages I know. Just English, some French, some Mandarin. Yeah, the sex part of sex is the least enjoyable and important part. I think more people would agree with that than you might expect. For a lot of people, the interesting thing is like the chase, or like the lead up. But the actual, you know, sex itself is, I mean, there's like this in what is that movie? Glengarry Glen Ross. There's that whole scene where Al Pacino is talking about like he has that monologue that I should rewatch that movie. It's a great movie. He talks about like he's like, what do you remember, like that the times you've had amazing sex, like what do you remember about it? Because like I don't remember like getting off. I remember, you know, some little detail, or like, you know, she brought me coffee in bed the next day, or like something her eyes did or something like that. So I don't know. It's, yeah. Tony Roma talking about your balls feeling like concrete. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't know, like, yeah, it's like a way to broaden your perspective, I think. Yeah. You don't need to be chasing this thing necessarily, or putting all this like weight on it, because it won't fix you. I see this online a lot, and it's not just with like young men, like all kinds of people online who just seem like it's like their whole personality is fucking, and that seems exhausting to me. And also it's just like kind of boring. I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like games, or like playing, right? Where if you look at it too closely, you're like, wait, why am I doing this? Like, because it's fun. Okay, but what is fun? Like, and you can kind of get into your head about it, like, which is why I don't get when people are just so narrowly laser focused on this thing that it's like, doesn't that kind of like take the fun out of it? Like thinking about it so much. This playlist is exclusively happy birthdays, what I realized. Yeah, and a lot of it for men especially is just wanting to seem accomplished to other men, and if that's your main reason for doing something, that's like kind of insecure, right? I mean, I get it, but having sex to happy birthday would be interesting. God. Yeah, a lot of men think sex will fix them. That's not true. I don't know. Also, like, yeah, it's like anything, like having a range of experiences can make you more interesting. But it won't necessarily, having sex just to impress other men, cut out the middleman. Yeah, impress your bro by just making him nut, you know? It's just a possibility, you know. Uh, yeah, we've been going for about 2 hours, and I'm real tired, so I'm gonna call it there. Thanks for hanging, everyone. Thanks for sending in questions, and yeah, I put the last one up on YouTube. If you didn't see that already, it's on a channel called Merit Advice Stream Archives, I think. And I'll probably do that with this one too. And yeah, we'll see. I don't have a set schedule right now, but if you want to follow, you'll get notifications when I do more. So yeah, I haven't been gaming a lot lately, so this is just kind of a fun alternative thing to do. And if it helps someone, that's great. I don't have like inflated expectations of this, but I do think it's important that like we have more people who are talking about this stuff, who aren't freaks, who aren't like total nightmare people telling like teen boys or like guys in their 20s to blame all their problems on someone else, and but also not telling them that they're, you know, that they can't change anything. I think, yeah, we can broaden this to just general advice stuff. But yeah, I mean, I used to do the advice column at Mel like years and years ago. So this is something I have done before. I don't know that I'm qualified, but I don't know that any advice columnist is qualified. I think I'm qualified insofar as I am at a pretty good place right now, that I feel like I'm in a pretty good place in my life, and I have come from places that are not so good. So that's, I think, the only thing that really qualifies me. Yeah, I think we can broaden it to advice for people who are no longer young or men. And we're sort of trying to like focus on like the being the energy of the left thing, kicking through heavy bags, and you know, getting arrested for sex trafficking. And I mean, we'll see. We'll build to that, right? Like, we got to start with the basics of providing a service, and then you build an insane criminal empire. Baby steps, right? I think probably we'll get there. Is that no? I mean, we don't want to get there, right? Yeah, no. Yeah, we're gonna start a whole. It's gonna be a cult. We'll get to it. Don't worry. Yeah. I'm so tired. All right. Thanks for hanging, everybody. I will see you next time. Have a good night. Later.